group of numbers. We're a driver's license number. Go to the doctor's office, the dentist's office. What happens? You're sitting there and 3 people come in after you do, and they get to go ahead of you. And you go up to the receptionist and you say, I was here before they were. Why are they first? She says, did you take a number? So we're supposed to all take a number in life. So all of these cause us to have this low self-esteem. We just feel like we're nothing. We don't amount. Nobody even sees us. What's your number? Well, there are 3 solutions, and one of those is, I call it the go with change. The G stands for God. We're created in God's image. He promised us that we're created in His image. He stepped out into the space of the universe and He said, He created man in His own image, Genesis tells us. And then He took a look at him and He said, I think I can do better. And then He created woman. Now that's just thrown in there for my husband especially. And then He says, the W is that we are winners. You can be you better than anyone else can be you. No one can be you as well as you can be you. And then the C, the change, is changing the way we talk to ourselves, our self-talk. You talking to you. Now here's a person who's changed her self-talk with the help of the Lord Jesus Christ. And I want you to meet her now. Her name is Patty Allen. She is a person that has the long-range goal. I thought she would be there now, but you know, God changes our timing. We think we're going to do it one time and He does it another time. Her name is Patty Allen. She was on her way to Aruba a few weeks ago, the last time we talked to her, but she's still here, and before she left, whatever her next thing, we're working together at the moment. Welcome, Patty Allen.
I'm glad to be here.
Now, Patty, we're going to jump back into some of the challenges of having this #1 disease of the year 2000, and that's low self-image. Tell me a little bit about your early childhood and your family. I've already said you're born with a silver spoon in your mouth.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about your early family.
Well, we were a rather well-to-do family, like you said, and we just had a lot of problems. I mean, my father, he was a fantastic person with a lot of personality, but he didn't do well in his situation. And my mother was an alcoholic, and one of the things that I remember that was so traumatizing as a child was that his theory must have been that I'm going to beat her until she decides she's never going to drink anymore. So as children, we would wake up and we would hear all this life and death stuff going on, you know, and she would say, kill me, I don't care, I'm not going to whatever. And then we would hear all this, so it was very frightening. And I was raised, and one of the things that was important in the low self-image was, as a little child, I was always fat. I was so fat when I was born, at 2 years old, I couldn't walk. And they always called me Patty Pig, and a lot of other things that were very negative. They called me stupid. They always called me stupid, and my father used to say, you are so stupid, you better be good in bed because you're good for nothing else. And just, you know, those are very tremendous to a child. And
what kind of life were they living at that time?
At that time, a very party life. I mean, life was, the only answer to life was have more fun so you don't think about problems. I mean, it was traveling to Florida and a lot of travel and just the party life. I mean...
What do you mean when you say party life?
Well, of course, there was a lot of drinking. My daddy didn't drink, but what he ate, he made up for what he drank. But we just had continual party. I mean, Monday we got over the party and we worked towards getting to the next party for the weekend. And we'd go down, we had a summer place and a yacht, and we belonged to a yacht club, and so there was just this continual how to put on a front of being somebody big and fancy, and he was. Daddy was he was a leader. He was the captain of the power squad, and whatever he was always the captain. He was the captain of the fire department. Whatever he did #1. And Mother she was one of the old-fashioned, very submissive wives. Just do whatever it takes to please your husband. Just do whatever you play. You know, don't speak up. Don't ever voice your opinion. And so that was very negative to me. And
what were some of the things they were involved in?
They were involved in, well, one of the things they were involved in, they were involved with a lot of pornography and a lot of, they'd have show pornographic movies, invite other families over, and there was wife swapping and just a lot of terrible sexual things, a lot of pornography laying around our house. All of us kids got involved in it, and it caused me to have terrible problems, and then he started molesting me, and that was terrible. And I lived in fear, you know, as a child. But at the same time, I loved God. I always just knew there was a God, and I loved God. And we were raised Catholics, and I just believed everything. Anybody told me about God, I just believed it. But I didn't know him. I had no personal relationship. He was just someone far off somewhere who, if I was good enough, he would approve of me and answer my prayers someday. And that someday was way off in my concept of God. And so I was very, I was a very sad little girl. I was very withdrawn. I hid. I mean, like, my brother set the woods on fire behind our house. Mother called the fire department, and they all went out to put out the fire, and I was supposed to tell the fire department where to come, and I hid in the closet. I mean, I couldn't even communicate with people. I mean, when I was 6 years old, Mother took me to the store and gave me a dime and insisted I go in and buy something, and because I had never talked to another adult, you know, except when they talked to me, I'd say yes or no or whatever. And it was just so withdrawn. And that got worse and worse as I grew up, worse in high school, and because in high school, of course, more pressure is on you to be somebody. And I felt like nobody, absolutely nobody. And in fact, even in high school, half the time I never went to school. I'd go into the woods and I'd hide and pretend I went to school and I'd come home. And I broke out with all kinds of sores and things from nerves and feeling so bad. And yet, then we had this life where we acted like we were just somebody at certain times. And, of course, I never did much talking. I was very, very shy, very withdrawn, and very felt inadequate in my, I had three brothers, two brothers and one sister, and just felt like they were wonderful and I was stupid, but I know they suffered terribly and felt a lot of that too now as an adult looking back. But I just didn't fit, you know, and I hated the lifestyle we were in, and it was just all, everything was unhappy. I mean, the perversion, and there was a lot of money, but the money just bought more stuff that I didn't like. More partying and more, I mean, it was just always partying. I mean, we had built this huge stage, and we had this big band, and we danced and danced and danced and drank and danced, and I mean, I remember that going on for about a year. And I mean, such silly things happened, as like somebody left their baby, and they were so drunk they didn't even remember they left their baby for 2 days, and we didn't know whose baby it was. I mean, how weird people can get. You know, and all of that, all I ever saw was, this is weird, I don't like it, I want out, I want away from it, I don't want to be a part, I want out, but I didn't know how to get out. And then another strange thing that happened, just some of the little statements that are made, you talk about words that people say that just devastate you, and it happens to all of us, but one of the things that happened to me was when I was 15, and I was very, very immature, so I was like 10 or something, 12. My brother was getting married, and they said, we had a big family party, and they said, what kind of contraceptive are you going to use? And I said, oh, you can't use contraceptives. The Catholic Church says you'll go to hell. And all of these relatives started laughing. And they said, you don't really believe the stuff the church tells you, do you? That kind of stuff, that's just put on. I mean, we just go there and we just act that way, but they don't really do that. I mean, it's not like what they say, and they said all these gross negatives, you know. I mean, they said all the priests sleep with the nuns, and they have babies and kill them, and I mean, they said all this, and it because I had held the church up, you know, because I went to a parochial school, and it was like, at home it was horrible, but at school and at church, I believed that, and it wasn't really that way, but I believed that everything was pure and wonderful, and I wanted so to be the things they would say. And I wanted to be like that. I wanted to be somebody that God was pleased with. You know, and one of the things they used to say, raise your hand if you want to be martyred. And I used to feel so terrible. It seemed like they said that every day. And I didn't want to be martyred, so I wouldn't raise my hand. And I thought it was such a terrible, quote, Christian. I thought I was a Christian. And all these strange things that I just thought, see, you're no good, you don't want to be martyred. And I thought, well, I don't want to lie either, so I'm going to raise my hand. So I wouldn't do it. And just these strange situations that happen.
How did you get out of that situation? Your parents died, and your brother
Well, they didn't die
died.
till a long time later. So my answer was, I was looking for change. Something's got to be better than this. And a child's concept was the style, the life that we came from is not good. Therefore, I looked to the reverse of that. I thought poverty must be the answer. So my concept was I will go away in somewhere, outback in Alaska or Australia, where was my vision, and go live out by myself or out in the tules with the animals and the trees, and everything will be wonderful because they don't have any problems. Because they don't have any money, so they can't have all these things that they do that take money to do them. So it must be good. So, that was not in my conscious mind, but it was in the back. And so I aimed towards that, and the circumstances came about, and I got to go to Alaska, and in Alaska, I enjoyed that for a while.
2 rooms and a path.
Right. 2